It's really a pleasure to see you, and it is really spectacular to connect with someone that is such a pro when it comes to data. And your career is really remarkable. From Bloomberg on, you've always been working at the forefront of data. Could you just take a few minutes and tell us about your career and how you ended up, getting from Bloomberg to where you are now, and kind of your story?
So I got hired into Bloomberg out of NYU when I was doing master in economics, and back then Bloomberg was not a well-known company at all. It was 90 people, and they were hiring their first training class of people right out of college that they wanted to train in the way Bloomberg was doing things, because they had a very, very unique environment in terms of using Fortran, using proprietary database package, using a very unusual or not widely known operating system. So they were hiring specifically people not with computer science backgrounds, and then taking them through the training program. And that first training program I was in, they had a few after that. So that was a very successful hiring mechanism for them. And at the end of the training program, I was assigned into the mortgage team. And there were two of us out of the training program that got assigned, and basically completely randomly, I got assigned mostly data-related tasks, and he got assigned mostly UI tasks. So I kind of fell into data. It was not a grand design. It was not anything I was thinking about that, this is what I want to do with my life. It just, they looked up, and I have no idea why they decided to do it that way and not the other way around. But I got assigned a lot of, as I understand now, back then I didn't have those words, and it was not really even in practice, around data integrity of multitude of the databases that Bloomberg had. And from then on, and I've done some UI work as well. And then as I went on, and I then transitioned to Bear Stearns and then Thomson Financial and Freddie Mac, I did a lot of data work, but a lot of it was outside of traditional data paths for people, which is data warehousing, data modeling, data analysis, DBA type of work. It was more on how do you effectively use the data to bring applications, capabilities to the business. So I worked like Bear Stearns, it was support of the mortgage trading floor, the same in security sales and trading group and Freddie Mac. I was on the trading floor supporting the traders for the first year and a half of my career in Freddie Mac. And it was a lot around what functionality do you build to support the business needs of the traders. And then I kind of went on there. And again, it was also fairly accidental. I wanted to get into management, and the management position that opened in technology was managing the data team. So, and there were two positions. One of them was managing, and again, it's interesting enough, was managing more of a UI team, and the other one was managing the data team, and they didn't hire me. I didn't get a job on the UI team, and I actually wanted that one more for whatever reasons. I can't even remember the reasons anymore, but I got the job managing the data team, and I've learned a lot. And from then on, I stayed a lot of it in data, but again, a lot of it on how do you effectively use data to bring value to your business.
Well, it's an amazing story, and it highlights so many interesting things that are going on right now. That perspective of the consumption of the data as being the primary thing is sort of antithetical, right? There's a lot of people in data management that kind of come from the sources and think about how to just bring the data together. And maybe, one of my opinions is kind of it's one of the failures for data warehousing and data marts and data lakes has been, it's a lot of data collected, but not in context of consumption. How do you think about like what's going on right now in terms of technologies and new capabilities that are coming out and all the new analytic capabilities that are enabled by data science? Like, how do you feel like we're sort of now thinking about consumption and you have the tools and the infrastructures to deal with consumption?
We do have tools. So the tools are developing. So one of the things that I have noticed that a lot of data disciplines, from data quality, data consumption, data sourcing, data profiling, was very, very immature state till about financial crisis hit. And then with financial crisis and all the regulations that came out of it, between Dodd-Frank, CCAR, it's famously data-driven, to Basel RDA principles, to GPDR, all of that. There was enormous focus on data, and what you had is a lot of focus on the tooling side of it. And you have a significantly larger set of choices around data profiling. And of course, all the data analytics tool and data catalogs, which I think is a wonderful set of tools that not yet reach the potential in terms of how do you effectively use it. This is actually one of the challenges that I see around data catalog, a lot of promise, but not yet the practice on how to do that. But going back to your question around going from the data consumption, this is something that I have had to explain many times in my current jobs and before, because people are really have that idea of enterprise data platforms being built from sources independently of how the data is consumed. And I've been here now at Voya for 2.5 years, and especially around the technology, but business and technology people who haven't had all the scars on my back that I've had from trying to build the data from the sources and not succeeding or not really building for any specific usage. All of us who grew up in that area have those scars. So people who haven't had those go, but your enterprise data, you can just go and bring all the sources in and just integrate it, and it's going to be beautiful. And I go, well, no, not really. It's maybe beautiful, but it's not going to be very useful.
Right.
I'm not a big believer with beauty that has no use. So that still is something that I think we need to communicate and propagate more, that effective enterprise data is building from consumption side. Now, what makes it enterprise is where you have a lot of thinking that needs to happen so it's reusable. Because if you don't want to build silo, I don't want to build enterprise silo of data. Whatever I want to build for the specific use case needs to be fully usable by a similar use case coming from a completely different business area. And that's where you have, that's where a lot of our attention and thinking and like pain is coming from. Is how do you do that, because that's what's making it valuable.
So you're really focused on the reuse of the data in context of the consumable data,
Exactly.
not just the raw form. Oh, wow, that's great.